Hi, my name is Barry Rodriguez. I'm the lead pastor at Grace Church and a longtime friend and supporter of Mission to Ukraine, and I'm here with Ira Venglovska. Do you want to introduce yourself, Ira?
Hi everybody, my name is Ira Venglovska and I'm running our operations and ministry in Zhytomyr, Ukraine.
So Ira, I would love it if you would start by just giving us a little bit of background. How did MTU, Mission to Ukraine, start?
In 1997, Ukraine was still a very young state. Soviet Union just fell apart and the 15 republics became 15 independent countries. All of our economical ties broke, and so Ukraine went through a very severe poverty time. There was a lot of issues in our country for a decade at least. And the groups of population that suffered the most were young moms who wanted to have babies but couldn't because of the poverty and because of the lack of resources. And we believe that one of the reasons God started this ministry was because these babies are precious and there was no other way out but for a group of Christians to come around this young mom, help support her, help her financially, help her with whatever she needed, and help her through this original 18 months of the most difficult time.
So you mentioned poverty as one of the causes of crisis pregnancies. Is that the main cause, or are there other causes that play into crisis pregnancies in Ukraine?
Poverty was and has been a number one reason, and there is a very valid explanation why. Because if you're a single mom in Ukraine, for the first 18 months, there are no institutions where you can come and drop your baby and go back to work. So it's a real survival issue. So yes, it still is. But the second one is in the Soviet Union, there was no value of human life. It was all about the big regime, big Soviet machine. And so women needed to be productive. And so women needed to work, and pregnancies were not terribly encouraged. And so because of that lack of human life, a lot of our young moms don't even understand how is the baby conceived, how is the baby developing, and the fact that she's carrying a baby is still sometimes a news for her.
Now, I'm obviously, my experience with Mission to Ukraine, one of the things that drew me was how significant your work is with people with disabilities, especially children with disabilities. And I know that grew out of your concern for those who are vulnerable. Can you talk a little bit about what is it that Mission to Ukraine does to support children with disabilities, and how has Mission to Ukraine's work influenced public perception in Ukraine about disabilities?
Again, talking about poverty, children with special needs probably have the most difficult lives in our country. A typical situation would be a single mom with one child or more children in the family. She cannot leave the child needs 24/7 care. She doesn't have any or hardly any resources. The government pension is maybe $50 a month at the most. So they're very poor. She's struggling to provide food and diapers and the most necessary things, and she's very isolated. And so when Mission to Ukraine started understanding the needs and the situations of children with special needs, we knew if Christ was on earth physically, this is where he would be. And we knew we needed to do something about it. So for the last 20 years, little by little, we have put effort into developing this ministry. And I would say I was born and grew up in Zhytomyr, and I do not remember seeing a lot of, or any actually, people with special needs. And the part of our vision is to change the view of society on the value of life and on children with special needs who have dignity. And we've put out a lot of effort, and I would say if you came to Zhytomyr now, you would see ramps, you would see disabled children in schools, you would see them in cafes and the parks, and we're just praising God for this impact.
Wow. Let's talk numbers a little bit. How much does it cost to support a woman in crisis pregnancy?
For Mission to Ukraine and for the programs we have, we've identified that for now, $50 a month will allow us to buy the most critical things she needs: food, baby food, medicines, diapers, baby supplies, whatever she needs to make it through this first very expensive 12 months or 18 months of a baby's life.
So you've got the numbers on the cost side, but there's also the numbers on that you can can celebrate of lives transformed. One of your ministries is working with young men and boys with disabilities at Romanov Orphanage. About how many of those young men and boys have been touched by Mission to Ukraine, would you say?
Yes, so for the last 15 years, we've been serving the orphanage. The capacity of the orphanage is about 85 residents. And so they pretty much have a stable number of 80 boys. And these are the people we continue serving even now.
Wow. And as far as babies that have been saved from abortion, how many are we celebrating now that have been saved from abortion by Mission to Ukraine?
An unbelievable for us number when we just started. In the first 6 months of 1997, since we started, we had 6 babies saved from abortion. 2023, we're celebrating 3,600.
3,600.
Yes.
That's
yes.
remarkable. Wow. Wow. Let's talk for just a few more moments about the war. What was your reaction to the beginning of the war, the outbreak?
We have been preparing. We had data, information. We knew Russian troops surrounding Ukraine for a good reason. But I would say that most people, or none of us actually, expected a full-scale invasion. So the general reaction, everybody was shocked.
Yeah.
And then everybody was panicked. And this is where I feel like God has really been around us, because He helped us prepare. We were ready. We didn't need to rush and buy food or do things like this. We were ready to serve our community. So yeah, the first reaction was shock and stress.
Sure. How has the war affected the work of Mission to Ukraine since it began?
If we did not change the main pillars, because people with special needs were hit the most. A lot of them could not evacuate for various reasons. Young moms with little babies could not evacuate, but their needs grew significantly.
Sure.
Their villages had little shops, little pharmacies, all of those closed down, with no public transportation running in the first several months of the war. So we grew our humanitarian efforts significantly in the beginning to help meet that daily survival need, basically. We needed to add counseling services for PTSD, for children who were panicking and scared of sirens, of the bombs. And we needed a lot more time for our women, for our children.
It's a significant calling that you guys didn't have a choice in. It kind of just happened to you. I imagine with that, God has provided in significant ways. Can you just talk a little bit about how has God come through for Mission to Ukraine through the war?
The biggest in our lives has been the protection of Zhytomyr and Zhytomyr region. It almost visibly feels like God put a wall, and Russians were not able to come and occupy and do the atrocities on our land. We have seen Russia has been threatening Ukraine with destroying our critical infrastructure and freezing us to death. And God gave us the warmest winter we'll remember. And a huge gratitude from all of us is to all of the thousands of new donors who came through and wanted to help and send the resources that we needed.
Well, I want to say on behalf of all the people who support Mission to Ukraine, believe in Mission to Ukraine, who are being affected by Mission to Ukraine, I want to say how grateful I am for you, for your team, for the sacrifice that you guys have made. It is a privilege and an honor watching from afar as you guys represent the love of Jesus to people in significant need. And I'm grateful, and I celebrate with you that God continues to provide.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you to your church, your community, to all of the people who are supporting us. You guys are incredible, and together we can advance God's kingdom even in a time like this.
Thank you.